Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Monday's edition of Alaska Weather. Up first tonight, we've got on the satellite imagery here, we've got a front moving across the southeast coast, low center back to the southwest, so this portion rotating northwestward while this area pushing northeastward. That area a little bit more to the east, but anyway, the main front having already passed through the area, kind of dragging down at the picture time here, the last frame of the being 2 p.m. this afternoon across just west of the Stewart-Hyder area, but has pushed inland, and so the more steady rain becoming more showery, but a lot of moisture still in the southwest flow behind that associated with the main low center. Rain and clouds heading westward here, a few showers getting into the Cook Inlet area, as well as thunderstorm activity breaking out along the first initially in the outer edge of the clouds here as they're coming west-northwest, and then actually getting strikes all the way down to the Talkeetna, Copper River Basin, and back to the west. A little bit of a break there from the Yukon Flats with some sunshine on down the Kuskokwim River Valley area on down into Bristol Bay, and then socked back into the clouds there for the Yukon Delta. That due to a persistent upper level feature there sitting roughly right around in this position, and that's bringing the clouds down and around and in off the coast. But the north slope opposite thing going on, south flow there, so breaking out into some sunshine today with this drier air mass getting north of the mountains there. Also thunderstorms developing in this area, clouds, showers and thunderstorms there, nose shifting out to the eastern north slope, getting some lightning strikes there. Otherwise, back to the southwest, or back to the west and southwest, lots of clouds there covering the Pribilofs into the Bering Sea. No storminess at all, just basically a lack of it, so weak high pressure and lots of low clouds, areas of fog with that. You can see the next system, actually a trough spreading some high stuff in towards Shemya, but the main rain area is still holding back to the west and kind of not in a big hurry to make it into the area there. And on today's chart there you can see the trough back to the west I was just speaking of. Westerly flow will eventually push that into the west and northwest Bering Sea. Another trough right through here, quite weak, but kind of an enhanced area of some light rain, drizzle, and fog. Lower flying conditions extending all the way down to the central Aleutians, northeastward toward the Pribilofs, up toward St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, scattered showers developing over the Seward Peninsula in some areas, as long as along the Yukon Delta coast. Otherwise, southwest interior here, not too bad. A couple of showers developing over the Kilberg Mountains, and not too much along the trough axis here. Could be a few showers up to the northwest there toward the southern slopes of the Brooks Range. Kobuk Valley like that. Thunderstorms I mentioned developing over the Brooks Range, heading northward there, heading out to where the showers were this afternoon. And then sunshine, Yukon Flats, upper Yukon Valley area, and then from roughly the mountains there, White Mountains down across the central Tanana Valley onto the east there with lightning developing possibly into the Susitna Valley this afternoon with this area of moisture heading westward, and nothing down too far south as of yet, just more of a stable air mass here in the clouds and the moisture coming in from the east there from Prince William Sound. With this front, rain up to the North Gulf Coast, kind of an increase in the wind, small craft advisories, eastern North Gulf Coast, and the front pushing eastward now through the Panhandle and back out to the west for tonight. Well, this afternoon, northwest winds here, so pretty nice day across the Alaska Peninsula, especially on the Pacific side of the downsloping winds there. Mostly sunny Bristol Bay and portions of the Kuskokwim Valley. For tonight, that same pattern continues. Looks like good VFR south side of the Alaska Peninsula, possibly back to the eastern Aleutians. We'll see some breaks, hopefully there for Kodiak Island, just a few isolated showers lingering. Pretty dry through the western interior and central areas, all the way up to the western north slope there. Those showers and thunderstorms lingering, but slowly dying off, but still a few left by, say, 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. Otherwise, same pattern, low clouds, fog, easterly breezes there to light and variable over the Chukchi Sea. And then southwest flow pushing that trough, and again, another one, surges, impulses, weak impulses of moisture coming east-northeast across the Bering Sea. Another one that finally moves into the far western Aleutians. And then for the southeast coast, of course, that front's out of the picture now. One trough moving through, another band of showers, yet another band of showers here. Just moving now, looks like off the north coast, but low pressure still down to the southwest here. So that'll be sending more moisture in as well. With the southeast interior looking pretty wet tonight here with, again, the evening thunderstorms gradually diminishing, but looks like periods of rain. Really from probably northern Cook Inlet here, definitely the Matanuska Valley, roughly up the Susitna Valley, and then eastward there, all the way over to McCarthy, Nabezna, and those areas. For tomorrow, that breaks out the showers, possibility of an isolated thunderstorm. Front weakening, moving northward. Looks like some type of rainfall of a convective nature will move into the Tanana Valley throughout the day tomorrow. So scattered thunderstorms there, and also scattered showers back up along that trough to the Arctic coast. Could be some thunderstorms developing up there once again like today, and even showers back to the west scattered around with lower fog or lower clouds, fog and drizzle on the western coast. Maybe nicer on the east side. Still pretty fair here through the interior, west side there from the Kobuk Valley southward into Galena and down in across the Kuskokwim Valley, even out to the coastline. Looks pretty good with some sunshine, except along the immediate coast. Light westerly flow turning northwest. I'll probably keep the lower clouds socked in along the coast and back to the west. Otherwise, Alaska Peninsula, call it IFR possibly here on the Bering Sea side to VFR in the Pacific side. And it looks like a chance of rain if this front happens to line up just right there for Kodiak Island. And then again, southwest flow pushing surges of moisture back into the southeast coast. Another low center here, or the main one, slowly edging its way eastward. And then out to the west, that trough, a lot of moisture building out here over the far western areas there. Weak high pressure up over the central Bering Sea. Light winds tomorrow for the Pribilofs, Adak-Atka, all the way to the Alaska Peninsula. Maybe a little gusty there on the this portion of the peninsula here to the Aleutian Range out of the northwest tomorrow, but that will not be anything more than about 25 miles an hour. Otherwise, for Wednesday, fair, kind of a very weak disturbance here from the Alaska Range southward to Kodiak Island. Probably will kick off a few isolated showers over the mountainous area. Otherwise, partly sunny now on the North Gulf Coast, partly sunny south central Alaska with some scattered showers developing in the afternoon over the mountainous terrain. Looks like it'll be pretty thunderstorm free. Even the eastern interior, not too bad thunderstorm wise, probably isolated to scattered at best from the eastern Alaska Range northward to near or just north of Eagle. Mostly sunny, Tanana Valley, northward there to the Brooks Range, pick up the clouds on the eastern Arctic coast. And then this trough might bring a little bit of light drizzle, fog, that sort of thing, nothing too heavy at all into the area there. Otherwise, high pressure ridging up right along the coastline, low clouds and fog with that possible anywhere in the area from the Pribilofs on up into the Chukchi Sea. And that westerly flow will keep it banked up right along the coastline, some of it getting inland, so it won't be a completely sunny day over these inland areas, but won't be bad either. It'll be mostly dry, and now even the southeast coast drying out, although one pretty good surge of showers pushing in with another trough, that weakening low up to 1,022 millibars now, really not too strong. But that'll send one more band of showers into mainly the central and southern southeast coast. Northern areas bear a chance of seeing some sunshine. And now finally a stronger system showing up out to the west there and kicking those winds around to the southeast, 30, maybe 35 knots to the far western Aleutians, of course with rain spreading eastward to Kiska Island. Adak and Atka kind of in a break, partly to mostly sunny, light southerly breezes. And for temperatures this afternoon, we'll start across the southeast coast again with highs or mid-afternoon temperatures, mid-50s to lower 60s, 61 degrees Petersburg, 55 Skagway. That same temperature matched also at Ketchikan with 54. Both at Cordova and Yakutat, 70 degrees in Gulkana. And around the 70 degree mark here for Delta, Fairbanks at 71. 60s south of the Alaska Range with Talkeetna up to 69, 64 in Kenai, 61 Palmer, 50s for Prince William Sound, and more sunshine there, Eagle 78, 74 at Fort Yukon. Bettles up to 70 degrees, Anaktuvik 57. Arctic coast warming into the lower 40s except for Kaktovik at 39 and Point Lay with the same temperature. And then mid 40s here to lower 50s in the northwest, 45 at Nome, 69 degree reading this afternoon at McGrath, and 64 at Sleepmute. Then you're into the 50s, mid to upper there over the deltas, 2 upper 40s along the coast. And out to the southwest, we've got mid 40s for the Pribilofs and about 48 degrees for Unalaska. Mid 40s to lower 50s there for the central Aleutians and 50s for the Alaska Peninsula. But King Salmon up to 65, Iliamna 66 degrees, and Kodiak at 62. Lows for tonight, pretty mild up here over the northeast, 55 to 60 for the lows. Upper Yukon valleys, mid 50s to the southwest there into the Tanana Valley. Kind of a variation there depending on your elevation here across Copper River Basin areas, but Susitna Valley looking for the lows in the lower 50s. So pretty mild, lower 50s to upper 40s, all of south central Alaska, down to Kodiak Island, 40s out here in the west, and 30s up along the Arctic coast. And high temperatures for tomorrow, 50s again for the Panhandle, into the southeast interior here, and then south central Alaska looks like mostly in the 50s. There, but the warmer conditions west of the Alaska Range, near 70 there from McGrath and Nikolai to the upper 70s over the upper Yukon Valley. 40s all along the Arctic coast with maybe some lower 60s popping up on the eastern North Slope, and then 40s the Bering Sea, near 50 on the coast, upper 40s for the Aleutians. And for flying weather, good VFR, Bristol Bay again through much of the interior until you get up to the Arctic coast. Some IFR just hanging off the coast on the west side. Lots of IFR here out in the Bering Sea with the marginal stuff right up to the coastline in across Norton Sound. IFR areas that'll be rolling in actually right now and continuing there. Prince William Sound, heaviest or lowest conditions will be on the west side and then exiting the southeast coast. So tomorrow afternoon, we've got another surge of IFR pushing northeastward here, right along Nunivak Island, Yukon Delta coast into the Bering Strait. Otherwise, the Arctic coast is looking occasionally marginal right along the coastline. North Slope, VFR, thunderstorms breaking out again in this location tomorrow afternoon, which keeps it all north of the Alaska Range. Otherwise, marginal VFR, south central Alaska, pretty widespread right up to the Alaska Range there and along the coast, marginal for the southeast coast. And for Anaktuvik, both Anaktuvik and Adigan will be VFR tomorrow for both entrances, both passes. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR, moisture heading westward, brings the conditions down to marginal into the afternoon. That same trend for Rainy as well. Windy, marginal VFR. Isabel, marginal. And Mentasta, marginal, probably breaking out in the afternoon with moisture leaving the area. So Tanita, actually, Tanita should become marginal tomorrow at times. And then for, there's Tanita there. Tanita, marginal VFR. And then Chilkoot and White, marginal. And I think Portage got left out there, but they will be marginal, isolated, or possible IFR on the eastern entrance for Portage Pass. And then for freezing levels, cold pool here out over the Northeast Pacific, 6,000 feet behind that front into the eastern border here, and then 8,000 feet into the eastern interior. That's where the upper 70s are going to be from the Tanana Valley to the upper Yukon. A little bit cooler back here along the west coast. And for icing, above about 6,000 feet, light to isolated moderate rime, Kenai Peninsula northward. They're getting north of the Alaska Range with that moisture into the central Tanana Valley. And also above about 5,000 feet, could be some mix there for the southeast coast. And some of that moisture slipping farther north into the central Brooks Range. And then way out west here with that next system coming in to the far western Bering Sea. Jet stream troughs right through here, southwest flow carrying those systems in, but the main jet south of the area here, well south of the area. Weak flow aloft, high pressure aloft here up over the northwest territory, or the Yukon, into the eastern Brooks Range area. And again, that's where the warmest temperatures are going to be tomorrow. And upper low off the coast, keeping it wet there. 9,000 feet, southeasterlies 25 to 30 knots here, right along the coastline, falling back to 5 to 15 for the Gulf of Alaska, and southern interior pretty light and variable, actually light and variable all the way up to the Arctic coast. More of a northwest flow here, 15 to 20 knots along the coast, Alaska Peninsula, diminishing high pressure with high pressure, and then turning southwest at about 20. And that flow at 3,000 feet extends from the western Aleutians right up into the northern Bering Sea, takes a turn to the east here at about 10 or 5 to 15 knots, so nothing serious wind-wise. Easterlies at 25 off the Arctic coast. Light winds for the Aleutians, and then those southeasterlies 20 to 25 off the Panhandle, lighter as you go east. And for turbulence, could be some light to isolated moderate chop here, mostly from, say, Sitka on down, including Prince of Wales Island into Dixon Entrance, and otherwise pretty smooth everywhere else. Maybe, especially for small aircraft, areas of light turbulence here. Southern eastern Alaska range there, the Aleutian Range, Kodiak Island. Same sort of thing going on up there in the Bering Strait. Otherwise, that's about it. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the ice edge in the marine forecasts.
When a wildfire breaks out, an incident meteorologist crunches data to come up with the forecasts that will be used to answer some pressing questions. Where can the fire crews safely position themselves? And how long can they be in place?
You'll see a forecast for the general public that seems like a really nice day.
Light winds to start the day out of the south, but the winds will pick up and even change direction as the frontal boundary moves on through.
It seems like a great day, like, let's go to the beach, but your fire could be burning in one direction at 1 minute, and as soon as that front passes, you got the fire burning in another direction.
Predicting fire weather can be a tricky business, and it requires a lot of training. Each year, all the incident meteorologists gather for a week at the National Interagency Fire Center in Boise, Idaho. It's a chance to compare notes, for the new IMETs to learn from the veterans, and for everyone to practice with some key fire weather equipment, like the pie ball.
A pie ball is a pilot balloon. Pilot balloon. That's how they call it. Yeah.
The pie ball is a helium-filled balloon that's launched to track the winds up in the atmosphere.
Winds are pretty much the most important thing to be concerned about on fires. And when we're out on fires, we launch these a couple times during the day, once in the morning at least and in the afternoon.
Using an instrument called a theodolite, IMETs measure the angle of the path that the balloon takes.
62 degrees.
Then they calculate the wind's speed and direction.
As it goes up, we see where the stronger winds are, where the light winds are.
2,
Ready?
launch.
On a fire, although the IMET is the only weather specialist on the scene, he or she is not working alone.
It's not just the incident meteorologist that's out there on a forest fire, it's the entire National Weather Service.
As firefighters rely on the IMETs in the field, the IMETs rely on their counterparts at National Weather Service forecast offices around the country. The local forecast offices keep in contact with the IMETs on fires in their specific regions. Forecast office meteorologists watch for threatening signs like increasing winds, high temperatures, or very low humidities. And when they see trouble, they issue a so-called red flag warning. That lets the fire teams know to expect explosive fire growth. Backing up the local forecast offices, there are meteorologists tracking fire weather on a national scale.
This is the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma.
Meteorologists at the Storm Prediction Center give national firefighting agencies advanced warning of where fires are likely to get started, so the agencies can determine where in the country firefighters will be needed most.
This map is showing fire danger ratings on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 correlates to an extreme fire danger.
The biggest priority here during the fire season is to be on the lookout for those great fire starters in the sky. Dry thunderstorms.
All it takes is one lightning strike to ignite a fire. In the west, quite commonly, there's a deep, dry layer of air beneath the thunderstorm, and so a lot of the rain that does occur with those thunderstorms evaporates before it gets to the ground.
The answer? Cloud-to-ground lightning detectors. These devices can pick up magnetic waves from lightning within a 100-mile radius. Using these readings, forecasters at the Storm Prediction Center can track a storm almost strike by strike. Their reports are posted on the web and can be instantly accessed by anyone, even an incident meteorologist at a fire in the middle of nowhere.
We have a little satellite dish that we take and set up in our laptop computer. We also have model equations that we can look at, the mathematical interpretations of what the atmosphere might be doing.
Without this equipment, we'd be in a pickle out there in the field.
In fact, sometimes the most important piece of firefighting equipment at the scene of a fire isn't an axe or a helicopter. It's the satellite dish, bringing weather information to the IMET. IMET Jim Wallman can tell you that. When he was dispatched to the Pine Fire near Lebec, California in 2004, his satellite data and forecasts soon became the focal point of the firefighting operation.
When I had arrived, the fire had pretty much consumed most of the hillside and had threatened quite a few homes.
To tame the fire, firefighters wanted to set a burnout, a deliberate fire that would burn the vegetation above the main fire before it turned that way. They needed to know from Jim when the wind conditions were just right to light it. It was a tense moment. If the burnout was lit at the wrong time, the fire could have raged out of control.
If the wind came in the opposite direction and you lit the fire, then it would have actually made the situation that much worse.
When he was confident, Jim gave the go-ahead forecast, and the fire crew went ahead with the burnout. Thankfully, the forecast was accurate, and the burnout was a complete success.
It was a big relief, a lot of smiles.
What could have been a major tragedy had been averted.
Welcome back. Sea ice here. The shore fast breaking off, continuing to break off and drift out to the west. That's what that is right there. So not leaving much behind, and still got some stuff down here, Kotzebue Sound, and to a lesser extent up the northwest coast there toward Point Hope. And that's about the same sort of thing is going to be continuing for the next few days. Marine forecast for the southeast coast here. We've got some small craft advisories tomorrow. Southerlies 25 knots, 8 to 9 foot seas, diminishing back to 20 knots up on the north coast with Lynn Canal just south 15 to southeast 15 knots here. Frederick Sound, Stevens Passage on down toward Dixon Entrance. Then for Wednesday, everything turns southwest here along the coast to westerly, very light westerlies up on the north side there. 10 knots, increasing to 20 knots on the south coast with seas near 10 feet. Inside waters, Clarence Strait southeast 15, even lighter for Stevens Passage. Afternoon breeze 20 knots for northern Lynn Canal. Prince William Sound, light variable winds tomorrow. East at 10 for the North Gulf Coast. Pretty light winds there with seas 5 to 6 feet. Picking up to 15 for the Barrens to northeast 15 there on the east side of Kodiak. And Cook Inlet, 20 knots from the south tomorrow afternoon, especially with 5 foot seas. And then those fall back to just 10 knots on Wednesday with 2 foot seas. Light variable winds break out again, Katchmack Bay into the Barrens. And actually all the North Gulf Coast here and the Prince William Sound zone looks pretty light and variable, as does Shelikof Strait. Kodiak, though, probably easterly at 15, especially down to the south. And then for Tuesday for Bristol Bay, northwest 25, picking it up 30 knots there from Castle Cape to Sitkinak, so a stiff breeze there, falling back to 20 knots here to the west. And then for Wednesday, variable 10 on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula, west 15 for Bristol Bay, and west-northwest 15 knots here in the Pacific side. For the Aleutians, the Fox Islands, especially on Alaska Island, west 15 to 20 knots, strongest on the Bering Sea side of the island. And then becoming more variable and lightening up, just 10 knots, really laid down wind day tomorrow for the central Aleutians, then back to 15 knots, only up to 20 knots there towards Shemya. And there'll be a bigger increase in that the next day on Wednesday with that next front coming in. You can see coming up to 30 knots. Maybe gales possible. Right now 30 knots should cover it pretty well with 25-knot winds expanding eastward. South 15, that's about it through Wednesday for Adak and Atka. Eastern Aleutians, Fox Islands, light variable winds 10 knots with seas down to 3 to 5 feet. And for the southwest coast, westerlies 15 to 20 there with a 20-knot wind south of Nunivak Island blowing in toward Kuskokwim Bay. 15 for the Pribilofs, 20 knots St. Matthew Island. Small craft advisories there for St. Lawrence Island with 6-foot seas. That holds through Wednesday. Southwest 25 there for St. Lawrence Island. Southerlies 20 knots for St. Matthew Island with seas at 6 feet. The Pribilofs pretty good there, 10 knots with 4-foot seas. Northwest 15 south of Nunivak Island. Southwest to the north. And for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, there small craft or brisk wind advisories, still ice covered. Brisk wind advisories, 25 to 30 knot winds, strongest here toward demarcation point, and really dropping off markedly there. Central coast 15 knots, all the way down, turn southeast. Then small craft advisories there, south winds 25 from Wales to Cape Thompson. And then for Wednesday, those all turn southwest. Pretty good here. Stiff southwest wind, 30 knots from the Bering Strait all the way up along the west side, falling back to 20 knots on the central coast. And now just a light westerly breeze going on for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. For tonight, again, showers continue in impulses rolling into the southeast coast. We've got some rain trying to make its way westward, and then evening thunderstorms also here for the areas maybe as far south as Talkeetnas, back up into the Tanana Valley. Fair, though, drier out west, and then lots of low stuff here trying to push eastward into the southwest coast, which tomorrow doesn't quite make it. Higher pressure kind of slides it off to the southeast or up to the northeast. Weakening front brings rain possibilities into the Tanana Valley, and more showers in store for the Panhandle that lasts through Wednesday.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX Brief for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.